The Colosseum, one of the most iconic symbols of ancient Rome. Its towering arches and intricate architecture have stood the test of time, bearing witness to a history of grandeur and brutality. Nearly 2,000 years ago, this massive amphitheater echoed with the cheers of tens of thousands of spectators. They gathered here not for art or culture, but for blood and spectacle. Gladiators fought to the death on this very arena, becoming the central figures of these violent games. But who were these men? Slaves? Prisoners? Or perhaps willing participants seeking glory? Their stories are as complex and layered as the history of the Colosseum itself. Today, we delve into their world, a realm of struggle, survival, and unyielding strength. The origins of gladiators lie in the conquests of Rome. As the empire expanded, it brought back prisoners of war, many of whom were destined to become gladiators. These men and women, stripped of their freedom, were paraded through the streets of Rome before being sold at slave markets. Their fate was sealed. They were bought by Lanisti, owners of gladiatorial schools, and trained to fight in brutal combat. But not all gladiators were slaves. Some were criminals condemned to death, offered a grim choice: face execution or fight for their lives in the arena. Others were debtors seeking a way to repay their dues, or free men seduced by the promise of wealth and fame. Regardless of their background, once they entered the arena, all gladiators shared the same destiny: to live and die for the entertainment of the masses. This system of blood sport was rooted in ancient rituals. Originally, gladiatorial games were funerary rites, meant to honor the dead through combat. Over time, they evolved into public spectacles, funded by emperors and politicians to gain favor with the populace. The games became a cornerstone of Roman culture, reflecting both its glory and its dark side. Once sold to a lanista, a gladiator's life was consumed by training. Schools, known as ludi, were more than just places of instruction. They were prisons. Surrounded by high walls and guarded gates, gladiators lived under strict supervision. Every day began with grueling physical exercises, lifting heavy stones, practicing agility drills, and building the stamina needed to survive the arena. Weapons training was equally intense. Gladiators learned to fight with swords, tridents, nets, and shields. Each man specialized in a particular combat style, tailored to their physique and abilities. For instance, the Murmillo, known for their heavy armor and large shields, relied on strength and endurance. The Retiarius, armed with a trident and net, required speed and precision to outmaneuver their opponent. Lanisti and trainers were both mentors and tormentors. They pushed their fighters to the brink, instilling discipline and skill. But they also understood that their success depended on keeping their gladiators alive and capable. Injuries were treated carefully, and those who excelled were given better food and lodging. Yet, even the most skilled fighter knew that every battle in the arena could be their last. Training was not just about survival, it was about performance. Gladiators were entertainers as much as warriors. They had to learn to play to the crowd, to turn every clash into a spectacle. Their lives were a delicate balance of discipline and danger, where strength alone was never enough. While most gladiators were forced into combat, some men chose this life willingly. These volunteers, known as octorati, signed contracts with Lanisti, surrendering their freedom for the promise of wealth and fame. Why would a free man take such a risk? For some, it was the allure of glory. Gladiators were the celebrities of their time, admired for their strength and bravery. Others were driven by desperation, debts, poverty, or a need to escape their previous lives. The arena offered a chance, however slim, to rise above their circumstances. Volunteers trained and fought alongside slaves and prisoners, but they often received better treatment. Their contracts allowed them to negotiate terms, such as payment and the number of battles they would fight. Yet, the dangers remained the same. A single mistake in the arena could mean death, regardless of status. The day of the games was a grand event. Crowds began gathering at dawn, filling the Colosseum's vast seating tiers. The atmosphere was electric, filled with anticipation. The games began with processions, musicians, acrobats, and the gladiators themselves, marching in formation to salute the emperor. The battles were meticulously planned. Some were one-on-one duels, pitting fighters with contrasting skills against each other. Others were group combats or staged recreations of famous battles. The arena floor could even be flooded to host naval battles. Every fight was a spectacle. Gladiators clashed with ferocity, their movements choreographed to excite the crowd. The spectators roared, demanding blood and bravery. For the fighters, it was a deadly performance. They had to balance survival with showmanship, knowing that their actions could decide their fate. At the end of the match, the emperor or the crowd would render judgment. A victorious gladiator might earn his freedom, while a defeated one faced death. The infamous thumbs up or thumbs down gesture determined their fate, making the games as much about power as entertainment. Gladiators were more than just fighters. They embodied the values of courage, strength, and resilience. Their battles, though brutal, became a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure and overcome. Today, the ruins of the Colosseum stand as a reminder of this complex legacy. While we admire the skill and bravery of the gladiators, we must also reflect on the society that demanded such spectacles. What does their story tell us about power, humanity, and the cost of glory? The legacy of gladiators lives on, not only in history, but in our modern culture, in films, books, and even sports. They remind us of the thin line between entertainment and exploitation and the enduring strength of those who fight against all odds.